Hi, and welcome to the Writer's Desk. My name is Lisa Soland, and I am your host at the Writer's Desk, and I'm here today with writer Jeff Gordon, and we're going to be discussing his new book on Lynn Barry. And
Lynn had a total sense of recall, remembered everything down to the minutest detail of almost all of her movies, of her many theatrical experiences and TV experiences. So she took me on a very fascinating journey of Hollywood, especially during its heyday. The only other actress I could compare her to, and this may sound odd, is Lucille Ball, because they both rose through the ranks. They were bit players, extras, bit players,
yes,
showgirls.
Yes, Lucille Ball.
Right.
You can see her in films, but she's always the other woman.
Right, the B queens and the heroines in the B movies, and in the A movies, the villainess, the femme fatale. Lynn, unlike Lucy, did not ascend to superstardom. She did not become. She was
Angela Lansbury. That's another one you could compare.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What's interesting is that they all had evolutions in acting that make perfect sense, totally logical, but most people don't ascend that way.
Yes.
They're either they get stalled in small roles or B films, oblivion, then they're out, or they are skyrocketed out of nowhere, suddenly discovered on a soda fountain
But
stool.
all three of these women were brilliant.
Yes,
but
they were
you
brilliant.
Wouldn't have known it if they had not pursued through the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, without I Love Lucy, who would we think Lucille Ball was without I Love Lucy?
Exactly. She would have fallen through the cracks. So Lynn did it all in films, appeared with Edward G. Robinson, opposite Edward G. Robinson, Henry Fonda, Don Amici, was Vincent Price's leading lady in his first film, was in the two films that Glenn Miller made, the only two Orchestra Wives, exactly, and Sun Valley Serenade was Benny. She played their songstress and the blues singer in those two movies, and she played Benny Goodman's blues singer in Sweet and Low Down. So
now,
she really
Orchestra Wives is your favorite film that she made,
yes.
Is that right?
Yes,
yeah.
It is. It is. And I think a lot of people, when they first see Orchestra Wives, which is available on DVD, fall in love with Lynn with that. And I think that's exactly what happened with me. I had seen her in other films, but when I saw her in that movie deliver these tart lines with so sharply and so wittily, and I just thought she was hysterical, yet she was extremely poised, very glamorous, was very, almost 5'8", very statuesque, a beautiful, beautiful woman with a very resonant, husky kind of voice. And then when she sang Serenade in Blue and At Last, which she introduced in Orchestra Wives, it was total magic. It was total magic. It was not her voice, but she was an expert lip syncer.
But you'd never know it.
You'd never know it. And the studio kept it a big secret. Yeah. And kept casting her as a band singer, too. So
I was a band singer.
Were you really?
I was in the miniseries War and Remembrance, and I sang...
Oh, sure. I remember War and Remembrance.
Boogie Boogie Bugle Boy.
I remember that. I remember that. Oh, my gosh. I remember that. Wow.
So I didn't realize
another star.
I have something in common.
Can I do your authorized biography?
Sure.
Oh, wow. Wow, yeah, absolutely.
I did not make 150 movies.
Well, yet.
Not even close.
Yet.
Right. Christmas season is coming up, and I want to make sure that the people that tune in and hear this interview understand what a great gift idea this book is. Who out there would be most interested in receiving a book like this for Christmas?
Well, I think anybody interested in show business. That's
most people.
Which is most people. You get every viewpoint, every facet of show business, because this woman's career was so comprehensive. A human drama. It's also a story of survival. Lynn beat the odds, came through it at the end. So it's a story of hope. There's a lot of pathos in it. There's a lot of heartache, but there's a lot of good stuff there. There's a lot of very, very funny stuff too. And it's also a document of a period of time. You go through the Depression, through World War II, through the boom of television, into the swinging 60s. And it just... it takes you on a journey of the 20th century in a first-hand way by my wonderful, wonderful late friend Lynn Barry, and the people who knew her well, who also had their own fascinating stories to contribute and remembrances to this book.
That's wonderful.
Well,
I love
you, Lisa.
reading biographies and autobiographies, but especially biographies, because I think it's very difficult for us to be objective about ourselves. But you had the benefit of working with her directly and her looking back on her life almost as a way to process her life.
You're right.
And purge herself of it.
Exactly. And you know what? I did not know that at the time. I only realized that many years later. In fact, not too long ago when the book was going to publication.
I mean, that's why I find it so uncanny that she passed away right after you had finished your interviews.
Exactly. I had thought, okay, this book afforded her the chance to look back at her life. I did sense that after she passed away, but I didn't realize the depth of exactly what you said, that it was important to her to sort of tie everything up and to leave this world without any real bitterness and with some contentment, and which is what she did.
I mean, she was courageous.
Very courageous.
She took
courageous.
Every step in her life she took with boldness.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely very powerful woman.
And she ended well, as I understand. She came to some spiritual.
She came to a spiritual awakening 6 years before she passed away. Because of that, she surmounted serious illness. She had a severe arthritic condition and other physical maladies, but she persevered, got the most out of life, and the life's every little day joys meant so much to her, and saw her through to her final days, which were just ones of contentment.
Now, why do you think, in the scheme of things, why do you think it was you that wrote? You know what I mean? That you were somehow. I mean, I understand the logistics of how it came about.
I don't know. I have no idea. I had befriended Lynn. I had written my one and only fan letter, never wrote one before, one since, to her, because I was so impressed from childhood on, from my teenage years, with her career, and seeing her pop up in practically every 40s movie, every 30s movie.
Now, you're a lover of movies, so your background was, you're a total movie buff.
Movie buff, movie nut.
But you also wrote on, you're pretty well known for your...
Well, thank you. I have a degree in film production and a degree in cinema studies from Tisch School of the Arts at New York University. I've been interested in film since childhood. I was mentored at New York University by William K. Everson, who's sort of acknowledged as the dean of film historians. He's since passed on, British man. Wrote many of the first great film books, and I revered him and took dozens of classes with him. One of my senior papers in one of his classes evolved into, it was actually an interview with a Warner Brothers actress named Nancy Coleman. It evolved into my first published work in the British publication Focus on Film. So there I was, wrote the thing at 22 for college, and with Professor Everson's help and guidance, and it got into a British film magazine when I was 23. So that was nice. I was paid $30 and thought I was living and rich from that.
Absolutely.
And even if I didn't get paid a cent, I would have been thrilled, because I have certainly written without any reimbursement. And but you know what? It's all good. And then I began writing for community entertainment newspapers in New York City, where I grew up. I wrote for the publication called Downtown Manhattan and Inside New York, doing film reviews and the like. Gradually, I wrote liner notes for VHS tape boxes and one thing and another.
You're perfect for that.
Well, thank you. Well, I can write succinctly, get it all in very, quickly, hopefully with a little bit of punch. I was a big fan of Lynn. I thought she had a remarkable career, was the consummate contract player of Hollywood's golden age when everyone worked for a studio with the studio system. And her studio was Fox, hence FOXY Lady. Sent her a fan letter and then developed a friendship, first pen pals and then over the phone. And then this article idea, and then, as I mentioned earlier, evolving into a book. But I didn't know, we'd been friends for 3 years at that point when we embarked on these interviews, and there were many of them about 90 minutes in length, that the meaning that this would have, because I didn't know that Lynn was going to die.